You are Locked On Coogs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Bargains Locked On Coogs here as Houston adds Mike Econom to their coaching staff. Mike Ekanem comes to Houston most recently from the staff at Oklahoma State. I talked to the Locked On Oklahoma State guys and a couple other people online about him, and frankly, I thought it was fascinating that for a guy that bounces around so much in his career, you can't find anyone that has anything negative to say about him, and that's really, really rare in that industry in general. College coaching, you always ruffle someone's feathers at some point. But certainly for a guy that seems to be a constant chaser and climber, right? Now, I should stress that we're talking about this today because he officially and formally signed the dotted line on Tuesday. And after doing so, told the media that Houston was, quote, a dream job. Kind of grew up in Houston, I believe in Alief, and ultimately ended up at Texas Lutheran. Played a little overseas after that, and has kind of hit the States and climbed up the coaching ladder. He was in the Spurs and Silver Stars organization at the same time. He worked in the video department there. I believe that is where he and Sampson crossed paths the first time. Sampson likes to have some sort of a prior connection to guys that he's bringing in. That's typically why you see so much of his staff have connections to his past. But the deal here with San Antonio is that while he was in San Antonio, he was working for the Spurs, the Silver Stars, would also moonlight as a personal skills trainer for a bunch of kids in the greater San Antonio area, and then was so good at that they asked him to also work with a high-end elite AAU team on the side. He's gone from that into multiple different college institutions. He worked at Nevada and Arkansas with Musselman. He's worked at A&M with Buzz. He was at George Mason. Bounced around a lot, changed job titles a lot. The dude finds tough, hard-nosed coaches to work with, generally works with winning programs. Really, really impressive set of coaches he's worked for. He was at Memphis for a stint and actually carried over and was working with Tubby Smith there. For whatever you think about Memphis, Tubby's a guy that's hard not to like as far as coaching things goes, right? A lot of different roles here, but I think what's interesting to me is he was the director of player personnel for Arkansas. The director of player personnel is in charge of formulating a roster in a modern sense. Some teams or some programs are calling it their GM. Lots of programs are kind of finding this professionalization of their job titles in modern college sports. But Econom was the director of player personnel at Arkansas for their Elite Eight run, coming off the back of the nation's number 2 recruiting class in America. So he can clearly identify talent and be involved in putting together a championship caliber roster, a high-end caliber roster. He then went to the front row of the bench or the official sideline to do more of the coaching stuff. And he went to Sam Houston. They won 26 games in his season there, got pretty far in the NIT. Sam Houston didn't win their conference, didn't make the NCAA tournament, obviously, but got pretty far in the NIT while he was there. He then went to George Mason, where they went 20-12 for their best season since the magical Elite Eight run way back in 2006. And then Oklahoma State, obviously they didn't win a whole lot of games in the Big 12 last year, but they're resetting and rebuilding that culture. And I can tell you, without leaking too many names here, they are upset he's leaving, but not upset with him. And by that I mean they're happy for him, but they wish he was staying there in Stillwater. He has a family now, a couple kids, a wife. He's from Houston. It makes sense. He wants to come home. And I think that's what a Houstonian or a Houston Cougar fan like yourself can hold on to as far as him sitting tight here for a second, as opposed to other places. This is, as he mentioned, a dream job for an assistant coach. It's frankly a job that he knows everyone's going to get kind of promoted or have the chance to be promoted sometime whenever the reins get passed from Kelvin to Kellen, right? Sampson. It's in his hometown. It's a top-tier program. As far as his recruiting basis goes, wherever he's been, he's recruited the Bayou and the city of Houston. So, of course, being at the University of Houston means he's pretty familiar with all of that. He whether it's Louisiana Tech or wherever, he's done a great job of setting a tone as a tough-minded, hard-nosed guy coming from his own work ethic. And I am really, really excited about this. So much so I don't typically do multiple episodes about when we get assistant coaches. And I don't mean that to say the other assistant coaches they've hired haven't been important. Coordinators in football being a little bit different, I guess. This is a big deal for Houston, as a big, big home run kind of hire. And I really am excited about it. I go back to that quote from an Oklahoma State person that said that Houston's just being selfish. They don't need any more good coaches. They've got them all already. But it feels like that is what's happening here. Is Houston's adding an up-and-coming kind of guy, very talented, hard-working guy. Silver Waves does a bunch of like ranking and award giving for whatever. They had him in their rising mid-major assistant coaches in all of college basketball lists in 2023. That was his time at George Mason. And I think that we're going to see come to fruition at Houston is, look, it's no secret. They lost a lot with Quannas White going out the door to go be the head coach at Louisiana, right? And you're not going to find someone rooting. I mean, we want to see Quannas do well there. Frankly, I kind of wish Houston would continue to schedule them at the start of the season in those non-conference games so we could see it up close and in person a little bit, right? Quannas was a gigantic part of what Houston's built, a gigantic part. But the guy's Louisiana native. It's a great opportunity. And frankly, don't be surprised if it gets thing turned around pretty quickly. They've already got some of the highest ranked recruits they've ever had in program history, doing great in the portal relative to what they're doing there. Locked On Sunbelt, actually, we have a Locked On channel for that conference. Schultze hosts that one. They've talked to Quannas on the show. Quannas excited to be there. It's a great, great vibe and energy. He left gigantic shoes. I'm not saying Econom is a Quannas White at this point. It's frankly hard to say that anyone is ever going to be Quannas White on day one. I do think, though, he's got a skill set and a mindset that will help move this program in a forward direction for a program that was already moving pretty quickly in the right direction. And so clearly very excited about it on my end. Again, I am a assistant high school coach as one of my day jobs. And I enjoy seeing these kinds of guys find their ways to success. And I think he's going to be, like I said, in Houston for a minute, but it's exciting to see him get that success here. Speaking of success, it would be hard to consider what Brett Yormark has done with the Big 12 anything short of a great success. But he got a contract extension that we got to talk about in just 1 second. But first,